Hello, it is day 14. I need two hands to do 14. Day 14, the last day of our second week of the Herbally-Inspired Holiday Challenge. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's session where we're going to be showing you how to make your homemade chai tea blend. And our of course, we couldn't make a chai blend without cinnamon, so that is our plant of the day. All right, so today, our plant of the day, or I should say our tree of the day, is cinnamon. And so cinnamon is another one of these sort of spice island spices. And I'm not going to get too much into cinnamon because, as you may recall, I've mentioned before, I do a Monday night show called Flower Power. And so I'll be getting into all the details of cinnamon. I'll be talking more about the card, although I will show it to you here, if I can find it. This beautiful card from the Herbcrafter's Tarot deck. And it basically just shows someone crafting with cinnamon. They're making cinnamon tea. And they've got all the different parts and pieces, including like a herbal ancestral book there on the table. And the message from this card is just to sort of trust the lineage of your ancestors and the information that you've gotten from that's been passed on through either your family or what you've chosen to be your new herbal lineage. So that's the message today from the cinnamon. What I'm going to do now, real quick, is I've got my stuff set up over here, and I'm just going to close my lid here and move this over so you can see it better. All right, let's see if that's going to do the trick. You can see I have our beautiful kitchen wreath hanging right there. And so what we're going to be crafting today is an herbal chai. And this herbal chai, the basic recipe, it has a base, which traditionally would be a black tea or maybe a green tea. And then you have a series of spices. So I'm just going to share with you the spices that I like to make in my herbal chai blend. And then you can use some of those, add the ones you like, and make it up custom for what you like. So what I've done is I've already put a few of these. Let me see if you can see. All right, this is better. All right, so when I am making a blend, what I like to do is I like to make a blend that is a large enough quantity that I have a jar full in the cupboard. What I have in here is not enough to create a jar full in the cupboard. But I just wanted to show you how I do my blends. I do not get out a measuring cup and measure out specific amounts. I do not get out a scale and weigh out certain amounts. Although if you are a beginner and you're still unsure about the ratios that you want, then you are more than welcome to do that. So I start by what's called the parts method. And so a lot of people are probably familiar with this. And so it's sort of a quantity based on the physical amount. So in here, I have my cinnamon. I've taken the cinnamon sticks. I've broken those into smaller pieces so that they will work better in the tea. And I've also put in a few cloves. Cloves are very strong and they can take over the whole flavor of the chai. So I don't recommend using a whole lot of those unless you absolutely love cloves. Next is the cardamom. And so if you're not familiar with cardamom, it's a wonderful spice. But again, it has a distinct flavor. I'm trying to do this with one hand now. And the inside of the cardamom has these little seeds in there, and those are the potent part of the plant. And if you were cooking with cardamom, you would take it out of its shell. But since I'm just going to be simmering this to make a tea, I'm going to leave the cardamom inside its little shells. You can take them off if you want to. And then those are kind of the essentials, 1, 2, 3. And then from there, there is any number of other spices that you can add. I love fennel, so I always add fennel to my chai tea. Fennel is just a great digestive herb. You see it in all kinds of Indian cooking to just help with, it's mostly for like gas and bloating, but I like the flavor of it. And then the fifth item, of course, is the ginger. And the way I will make up my tea blend is I will create all the dry spices, and then I will add my ginger fresh. And I add my ginger fresh, okay? And these, you could start with this spice grouping just here and have a lovely, delicious chai tea. But the question is, what about, let me set this back down again so I can get the next thing for you. What do I do about the base for the tea? As I said, most chai teas have either a black or green tea. So if you like those things, that's fantastic. I just have a like a bulk green tea here. I could throw in some of that. I probably wouldn't put a whole lot of the green tea. You really don't need nearly as much of the tea as you do the spice. The way I learned from my herbal teacher was to use burdock. So the way to make a truly herbal tea is to use a burdock root, which is just has all kinds of health benefits, and use that as the base for your tea. So I'm going to go ahead and add burdock, a little pile of burdock. Now, burdock can be a little bitter for some people, so you don't want to put a whole lot of that in. And that is what I'm going to use for the base for my herbal chai blend. The reason why I love doing it in a bowl like this is because A, it looks so nice, and B, because now I can look at it and say, oh, well, you know, gee, maybe I want more cinnamon than that because I'm really in a cinnamon mood today. And by laying it out ahead of time, you can see that there. So that's just a nice way to do it. And I want to give you a couple more suggestions of things that you could add to your herbal chai in addition to what I've already shown you. The first one is, you want to make it a little bit more medicinal, is astragalus root. So it's weird looking stuff, but it's good for you. So astragalus root is another type of immune system tonic that you can use to add into your chai tea if you want a little bit extra added punch. So I might put a few of those sticks in. I'm just going to add that into my tea. And of course, one of our favorites that we've been using this week, I've got some little dried up orange peel, rose peel. Who wants to peel a rose with me? And so if I wanted a little bit of an orange flavor, or if I wanted that extra benefit that orange adds, I might add some orange peel. I'm not going to do that on this particular blend. And then another spice that's used a lot in this and in like a golden milk and those other types of flavoring is just simply black pepper. And I haven't done a lot of research on this, but my understanding is that the black pepper, if you're using something with turmeric, which we'll get into later this week, black pepper really helps the turmeric to get absorbed better. So Sarah says she uses star anise. I actually went to the store to get the star anise to use for this particular show, and they were completely sold out. I don't like a huge, strong anise flavor. That's why I use the fennel instead of the star anise. And I do grow my own fennel for seeds, so I always have fennel around. This is not my fennel. This is commercial fennel. There is no limit to the other things that you could add. You could grate in some nutmeg on top. You could put any other type of fruit in there if you wanted to, that you felt would be beneficial for you. And so this is just such a nice way. You set it up, you create your little blend like this. I'm going to take out my ginger, and then I'm just simply going to mix this all up. Okay. And then I've got a, a decorative jar here. I'm going to put my blend into the jar. I probably would cut up these astragalus roots a little bit more than that. Just so, okay. And as you can see, that's nowhere near enough for sharing. That's probably that's one batch. Okay. So but I can create a large blend. I could keep this for myself. This is where my little decorative jar that I got at the Goodwill, if you saw my first or second show there, you could put this into a little decorative jar, the little jelly jars. That would be a great gift. I'm going to put on my jar lid filled with chai. I'm just going to take a ribbon and I'm going to tie a big fresh thing of ginger on top or on the side if I wanted to give that for a gift. And, with some instructions, letting them know that each time they want chai, that should add a little bit of extra fresh ginger to the bowl. All right, so Kanita's saying that she sometimes adds licorice root. That is also a great way, especially if you want your tea very sweet. Now, the important step in making this tea that's different from just brewing up a tea bag or something, and we will be talking about another type of tea tomorrow, is that this tea, because there's so many roots and barks in it, roots and bark in it, that you have to simmer it in a pot on your stovetop for anywhere between a half hour to maybe like maximum hour and a half. And what I usually do is I bring it to a simmer, put on the lid, and I just let a teeny bit of the steam come out the side and turn it down to the very lowest I possibly can. Sometimes after I do that, I will just let it sit overnight even. And what I end up with is a tea concentrate. So the tea concentrate this is how I make a lot of my teas. I'll make a very concentrated pot of tea. I'll strain it out. I'll put it in the fridge. And then when I want some, I'll just dilute it with a little bit of water, warm it up. And of course, the traditional way to have a chai is by adding some kind of milk to it, whatever your milk of preference is. You don't have to. You could have the chai just without any milk at all in it. But, and I'll talk a little bit more about like making the tea concentrates tomorrow when we talk about our other tea blends. A decoction is where you simmer for an extended period of time, as opposed to an infusion where you're basically just pouring the water over top and letting it steep that way. So that is all I wanted to share with you today. I highly recommend you make yourself some herbal chai. It is so delicious and satisfying. And like I said, I didn't have time to get into all the benefits of it. We put like 7 different things in there. We are going to talk about ginger later this week. But suffice it to say that if you had some herbal chai, you would probably cure just about everything that ails you. So do not delay. Head on down to the spice shop and get yourself a variety of different spices and make yourself an herbal chai blend. So everyone have a wonderful night, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care.